Admiral Park Tae stood on the bridge of his ship and looked out at the stars. After all these years, humanity was finally going to meet other life in the galaxy. He felt proud. He felt hopeful. He had no idea that in just a few hours, everything would change forever. The diplomatic fleet moved slowly through space. 15 ships carried the best that Earth had to offer. Scientists, doctors, teachers, families. Over 40,000 people had volunteered for this mission. They all wanted to be part of history. They all believed that meeting aliens would bring peace and friendship to humanity. Dr. Kim Yuna walked onto the bridge with a smile on her face. She was the chief language expert, and she had spent 20 years preparing for this moment. Her husband and young daughter were on one of the civilian ships. She had brought them because she wanted them to see the future. "Admiral," she said, "we are receiving signals from Varus Prime. The Galactic Concord is welcoming us." Park Tae nodded. "Tell them we come in peace. Tell them we are honored." The fleet arrived at Varus Prime 3 hours later. It was a beautiful world with purple oceans and silver clouds. Hundreds of alien ships surrounded the planet. Park Tae counted at least 12 different designs. 12 different species, all working together. It gave him hope. Captain Lee Min-ho, who commanded the flagship Soul's Promise, stepped beside the admiral. He was young but brilliant. Many said he would lead Earth's fleet one day. "Sir, they are asking us to lower our shields as a sign of trust," Min-ho said. Park Tae thought for a moment. It was a risk. But how could they build friendship without trust? He gave the order. All 15 ships lowered their shields. The welcoming ceremony began on the surface of Varus Prime. Park Tae led a small group down to meet the Concord leaders. He shook hands with creatures that had 4 arms. He bowed to beings made of living crystal. He spoke through translators to insects the size of bears. The leader of the Concord was Elder Von, a Kelos. His species looked like giant mantises with hard black shells and cold red eyes. He spoke softly and smiled often. He called humans young friends and promised them a place in the galactic family. Dr. Kim Yuna translated everything. She was so happy that tears fell from her eyes. "Admiral," she whispered, "this is everything we dreamed of." But Park Tae noticed something strange. The alien soldiers kept looking at each other. Some of them touched their weapons. Their movements were too careful, too practiced. Something felt wrong. "Dr. Kim," he said quietly, "contact our ships. Tell them to raise shields." Before she could respond, Elder Von raised his hand. The room fell silent. His smile disappeared. "We have studied your species," Von said. His voice was no longer soft. "You are dangerous. You grow too fast. You feel too much. In 10,000 years, you could threaten us all. We cannot allow this." Park Tae's blood went cold. "What are you saying?" "We are saying goodbye, young friends." In orbit above Varus Prime, the Concord fleet opened fire without warning. The human ships had no shields. They had no chance. In the first 30 seconds, 5 ships exploded. Kim Yuna screamed as she saw her husband's ship break apart on the view screen. Her daughter was on that ship. Her little girl was gone. Park Tae grabbed his communicator. "All ships, emergency protocols. Raise shields. Fight back." But it was already too late. The aliens had planned this perfectly. They hit the engines first, then the weapons. One by one, the human ships died in the darkness of space. On the surface, alien soldiers surrounded the human delegation. Park Tae watched as his people were gunned down. Scientists who had never held a weapon. Doctors who had come to heal. They died with confused looks on their faces, still not understanding why. Captain Lee Min-ho's voice came through the communicator, broken by static. Admiral, Sol's promise is going down, ... I'm sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. The transmission ended. Another ship gone. Another 1,000 lives lost. Park Tae pulled Kim Yuna behind a fallen pillar as energy blasts flew around them. She was shaking. She kept saying her daughter's name over and over. We have to move, Park Tae said. There might be escape pods. My baby? Kim Yuna whispered. They killed my baby. I know, but we have to survive. Someone has to tell Earth what happened here. They ran through the chaos. Alien soldiers chased them through burning corridors. Park Tae killed 3 of them with a weapon he took from a dead guard. He had never killed anyone before. He felt nothing. They reached a small shuttle bay. One ship remained. It was damaged, but it could fly. Park Tae pushed Kim Yuna inside and started the engines. Wait, she said. Her voice was empty now. Dead. I'm not going. What? She held up a small device. This is a data recorder. Everything that happened. Everything they said. Take it. Show Earth. Yuna, get in the ship. Someone needs to buy you time. She looked at him with eyes that had no more tears. Tell them what they did. Tell them we came in peace and they murdered us. Tell them humans do not forget. Before he could stop her, she ran back toward the alien soldiers. She screamed and waved her arms. She gave him time to launch. The last thing Park Tae saw was her falling under a wave of energy blasts. The small shuttle flew through the battle above. Burning ships filled the space around him. Bodies floated in the void. 40,000 people had come here with hope in their hearts. He would be the only one going home. As he entered faster-than-light travel, Park Tae sent one final message to Earth. His voice was calm. His hands were steady. But inside, something had changed. Something had hardened into cold, dark stone. This is Admiral Park Tae. The Galactic Concord has betrayed us. They murdered our people during a peace ceremony. 40,000 dead. All ships destroyed. They smiled while they killed us. Remember that. He paused, then added, They think they have ended us. They are wrong. This is not the end. This is the beginning. On Earth, billions watched the message. They saw the footage. They heard the screams. They watched their sons and daughters die at the hands of smiling monsters. For one long moment, the entire planet was silent. Then the silence ended. And in its place came something the galaxy had never seen before. Human rage. Human grief. Human hatred. The aliens had made a terrible mistake. They had studied human history. They knew humans could be violent. But they thought they understood it. They thought humans were like other aggressive species they had destroyed before. They were wrong, because humans did not just get angry. Humans remembered. Humans planned. Humans waited. And when the time was right, humans did not show mercy to those who had shown none to them. The galaxy would learn this lesson. But by then, it would be far too late. 6 months passed since the massacre at Verus Prime. Earth was still in mourning. But mourning would have to wait, because death was coming. General Choi Dae stood in the command center beneath the mountains of Korea. He was a quiet man who never raised his voice. He did not need to. When he spoke, everyone listened. And right now, he was looking at the largest enemy fleet in human history. 3,000 ships, his aide said. They will reach Earth in 18 hours. Choi Dae nodded slowly. Earth had only 200 ships that could fight. The math was simple. The math was death. Begin evacuation, he said. Every bunker, every tunnel, every colony on the Moon and Mars. Get as many people underground as possible. Sir, we cannot save everyone. Then we save who we can. Across the planet, alarms began to sound. Billions of people ran to underground shelters. Parents carried children. Old people helped each other walk. No one pushed. No one screamed. They moved with quiet purpose, like water flowing downhill. They knew what was coming. They knew many would not survive. But they were human, and humans did not give up. Lieutenant Bay Hana climbed into her fighter ship at the base in Seoul. She was 24 years old. She had joined the military because she wanted to protect people. Now she would die doing exactly that. But her squadron had 12 pilots. They were all young. They were all scared. None of them showed it. "Listen," Hana said through the radio. "We are not going to win today. We all know that. But every minute we fight is another minute for people to reach safety. Every ship we destroy is one less ship bombing our families. So we fight. We fight until we cannot fight anymore." "Yes, Captain," they answered together. The enemy fleet arrived on a Tuesday morning. The sky above Earth filled with alien ships. They blocked out the sun. For a moment, the entire planet fell into shadow. Elder Vaughn watched from his command ship. He had led the massacre at Varus Prime. Now he would finish what he started. He felt no guilt. To him, humans were just another problem to solve. Another primitive species to clean up. "Begin the bombardment," he ordered. "Target their cities first. Make them watch their homes burn." The first blast hit New York. The city disappeared in a flash of light. 10 million people died in 1 second. Then Los Angeles. Then London. Then Tokyo. One by one, the great cities of Earth turned to ash and fire. Lieutenant Bay Hana flew into the enemy fleet with her squadron. They were like insects attacking elephants. But insects could still sting. "Focus on their bombers." She shouted. "Ignore the fighters. Every bomber we stop is a million lives saved." Her squadron attacked with everything they had. They flew between giant enemy ships. They fired missiles into weak points. They rammed their ships into enemy engines when their weapons ran out. One by one, her pilots died. She heard their final words through the radio. Some screamed. Some cried. Some said nothing at all. After 2 hours, only Hannah remained. Her ship was damaged. Fire burned in her cockpit. Blood ran down her face from a wound she could not remember getting. But she kept flying. She kept fighting. "Lieutenant Bay," a voice said. It was General Choi Day. "You have done enough. Fall back." "No, sir. That is an order." "With respect, sir, I still have weapons. I still have fuel. And there are still bombers heading for Korea. My mother is in a bunker in Busan. I will not let them touch her." There was a long silence. Then Choi Day spoke again, and his voice was thick with emotion. "Then fly well, Lieutenant. Korea is proud of you." Hana destroyed 3 more bombers before an enemy fighter finally hit her ship. The explosion threw her into darkness. She thought she was dead. She was not. A rescue ship found her floating in the wreckage. She had lost her left arm. She had lost her entire squadron. But she was alive. And that meant she could fight again someday. On the surface, the bombardment continued for 72 hours. When it finally stopped, 2 billion humans were dead. The great cities were gone. The forests burned. The oceans boiled near the impact zones. Earth, the blue and green jewel of the solar system, had turned gray and black. Elder Vaughn broadcast a message to the entire galaxy. His voice was calm and satisfied. "Let this be a lesson to all primitive species. The Concord does not tolerate threats. Humanity has been punished for their aggression. Any species that challenges us will meet the same fate." He believed he had won. He believed humanity was finished. He was wrong, because even as he spoke, 6 billion humans were still alive. They huddled in bunkers beneath the ground. They crowded into colonies on Mars and the Moon. They floated in stations hidden in the asteroid belt. They had lost their home, but they had not lost themselves. General Choi Day gathered the survivors in a massive underground base on Mars. His face was covered in dust and burns. He had not slept in 4 days. But he stood straight and spoke clearly. "They think they have destroyed us," he said. "They think we will beg for mercy. They think we will scatter and die in the darkness between stars." He paused and looked at the faces around him. Old and young. Soldiers and scientists. Mothers holding babies. Children holding their parents' hands. "They do not know us," he continued. "They see that we are small. They see that we are weak. They see that we have lost. But they do not see what is inside us. They do not understand that losing does not break humans. It makes us stronger. It makes us harder. It makes us remember." He raised his fist. "We will rebuild. Not just our ships. Not just our cities. We will rebuild our strength until we are more powerful than anything they have ever seen. And then we will return. Not to ask for peace. Not to beg for mercy. We will return to make them pay for every life they took. For every child they murdered. For every dream they burned." The crowd was silent. Then someone shouted. Then more. The sound grew until it filled the entire base. It was not a cheer. It was a promise. A vow. An oath written in blood and fire. In a hospital bed on the other side of the base, Bae Hana woke up. She looked at the space where her left arm used to be. She thought about her squadron. 12 young pilots who would never go home. A nurse came to check on her. "How do you feel?" she asked. Hana stared at the ceiling. Her eyes were dry. Her voice was flat. "I feel like I have work to do." In the deepest part of Mars, in a section that did not officially exist, secret construction had already begun. Ships were being built. Weapons were being designed. Scientists worked day and night on technologies the galaxy had never imagined. The Concord had wanted to kill humanity before they could become a threat. Instead, they had created the very thing they feared. A wounded species with nothing left to lose. A civilization united by grief and rage. An enemy that would never stop, never forget, and never forgive. The galaxy celebrated the end of the human threat. Eldervon received medals and praise. The Concord announced a new era of peace. They had no idea what was coming. In the darkness of human bunkers, in the silence of hidden factories, the survivors made their plans. They would be patient. They would be smart. They would wait until the moment was perfect, and then they would show the galaxy what humans really were. 10 years passed. The galaxy forgot about humanity. The Concord believed the human problem was solved. Scattered refugees lived on the edges of civilization. They worked in mines and factories. They cleaned alien homes. They kept their heads down and said nothing. The mighty species that had once dreamed of the stars were now servants and beggars. Or so it seemed. Director Shin Era sat in a room with no windows, deep beneath an asteroid that had no name. She was 50 years old, thin, with gray hair and cold eyes. Before the war, she had been a professor of mathematics. Now she was the head of the Reconstruction and Retaliation Initiative. She had one job: prepare humanity for revenge. "Report," she said. Commander Yoon Jin stepped forward. He was tall, quiet, and moved like a shadow. He had spent the last 10 years building the Ghost Fleet in complete secrecy. 5,000 ships ready. All crews trained. All weapons tested. The intelligence networks active on all 12 Concord homeworlds. We know their fleet positions, their supply routes, their political secrets. We know which leaders hate each other. We know which species are tired of Kello's control. Shin Era nodded. The technology? We have taken everything they had and made it better. Their shields block energy weapons. Ours block everything. Their engines are fast. Ours are faster. Their missiles are smart. Ours are smarter. For 10 years, humanity had pretended to be broken. They let aliens push them around. They accepted insults and abuse. They smiled and bowed and said thank you. And all the while, they watched. They listened. They learned human refugees worked as servants in Concord government buildings. They cleaned offices and served food. They also copied secret documents and recorded private conversations. Human traders traveled between worlds selling cheap goods. They also mapped military bases and counted warships. Human beggars sat on street corners looking helpless. They also tracked the movements of important officials. The Concord never suspected. Why would they? Humans were defeated. Humans were primitive. Humans were nothing. On a water world called Mora, a young moron diplomat named Kira began to have doubts. She had been a child when the Concord attacked Earth. She had grown up believing humans were dangerous monsters who needed to be stopped. But now she worked with human refugees, and she saw something different. She saw a people who worked hard without complaining. She saw parents who loved their children. She saw artists who still made beautiful things, even when they had nothing. She saw eyes that held sadness, but also strength. One day, an old human woman named Grandmother Soon cleaned Kira's office. Kira watched her work in silence. "May I ask you something?" Kira finally said that the old woman kept cleaning. "Of course, Ambassador. Do you hate us? For what we did to your world?" Grandmother Soon stopped. She looked at Kira with eyes that had seen more pain than the young ambassador could imagine. "I had 4 sons," she said quietly. "They all died when Sol burned. I had a husband. He died at Varus Prime. I had a home, a garden, a cat named Nabi who slept in my lap every evening." "I'm sorry," Kira whispered. "You ask if I hate you." The old woman smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "I do not hate you, Ambassador. Hate is for the weak. I simply remember. Every day, every hour, every moment. I remember what was taken from me. And I wait. Wait for what?" The old woman did not answer. She finished cleaning and left. Kira could not sleep that night. Something in the woman's voice had frightened her. Not anger, not despair. Something worse. Something patient. She began to investigate. She looked at records of human activity across the galaxy. She noticed strange patterns. Ships that disappeared. Supplies that went missing. Small accidents at military bases. None of it seemed connected. But the more she looked, the more she saw. She tried to tell her superiors. They laughed at her. "The humans are broken," they said. "You worry about nothing." But Kira could not stop thinking about Grandmother Soon, about those eyes that remembered, about the smile. There was not really a smile dot in the secret base beneath the nameless asteroid. Director Shin Era received reports from across the galaxy. 10 years of work. 10 years of sacrifice. 10 years of playing dead while building the greatest weapon in galactic history. She thought about her own losses. Her brother had died at Varus Prime. Her parents had burned with Earth. She had not cried since that day. Tears were a luxury she could not afford. Admiral Park Tae entered the room. He was older now, scarred, with white in his hair and ice in his eyes. He had spent 10 years training the Ghost Fleet, teaching them not just how to fight, but how to hate, how to remember, how to never, ever stop. "The fleet is ready," he said. "The crews are ready. We have waited long enough. Shinhera looked at him. Are you certain? There is no going back. I was certain the moment they murdered 40,000 people who came in peace. I was certain when I watched Earth burn. I have been certain every single day for 10 years. She nodded slowly. Then it is time. She pressed a button on her desk. Across the galaxy, in refugee camps and servant quarters, in factories and farms, in every dark corner where humans survived, a message arrived. It was short. It was simple. It was the signal they had all been waiting for. Remember Verus Prime. Remember Earth. It is time. In a small room on a Concorde station, a human janitor read the message. He smiled for the first time in 10 years. He put down his mop, walked to a computer terminal, and began typing. In 30 seconds, he had downloaded the station's complete security codes. On a transport ship, a human cook received the message. She went to the engine room and placed a small device on the main power coupling. The ship would stop working in exactly 47 hours. On the Kellos homeworld, a human gardener received the message. He walked calmly to a communication tower and attached a tiny machine to its base. The machine would record every military signal for the next 3 days. Across the galaxy, thousands of humans began to move. 10 years of preparation came together like pieces of a puzzle. Each person had one small job. Together, their small jobs would crack the foundations of an empire. Commander Yoon Jin addressed the Ghost Fleet for the last time before the attack. 5,000 ships hung in the darkness, painted black, running silent. Inside those ships were crews who had lost everything. Soldiers who had trained in secret. Pilots who dreamed every night of burning alien ships. You know why we are here, he said. You know what they did. You know what we lost. Tomorrow, we take it back. Not our homes. Not our cities. Those are gone forever. But we take our pride. We take our dignity. We take revenge for every person who died, believing that the universe had good in it. He paused. They think we are weak. They think we are beaten. Tomorrow, we show them the truth. Humans do not break. Humans do not forget. And humans do not forgive. The fleet was silent. No cheers, no shouts. Just 5,000 ships waiting in the dark, ready to remind the galaxy why humanity should never have been underestimated. On Mora, Ambassador Kira felt a cold fear growing in her stomach. Something was about to happen. She could feel it like a storm coming. She tried one last time to warn the Concorde leadership. They did not listen. They would soon wish they had. The attack came without warning. Like a knife in the dark dot, at exactly midnight Galactic Standard Time, 47 Concorde military bases exploded. Defense satellites went blind. Communication networks fell silent. Power grids failed across entire planets. In one coordinated moment, the heart of the Concorde's military strength simply stopped working. Elder Vaughn was in his private chambers when the alarms began. Servants ran through the halls screaming. Soldiers rushed past without direction. No one knew what was happening. Report, he shouted at his commanders. What is going on? We don't know, Elder. Our systems are failing. We cannot contact our fleets. We cannot contact anyone. Then the view screens came alive with a face Vaughn had never forgotten. Admiral Park Tae looked older now, scarred and hard. But his eyes were the same eyes Vaughn had seen at Verus Prime, right before the massacre. Hello, Elder Vaughn, Park Tae said. His voice was calm, almost friendly. Do you remember me? I was at Verus Prime. I watched you smile while you murdered my people. I watched you give the order that killed 40,000 innocent lives. Vaughn felt something he had not felt in years. Fear, real fear. That was 11 years ago, the Admiral continued. 11 years since you burned my world and killed 2 billion more. 11 years since you told the galaxy that humans were finished. Do you want to know what we did during those 11 years? The view screen changed. It showed thousands of black ships emerging from the darkness of space. They appeared around Concord worlds, around military bases, around the homeworlds of the species that had attacked Earth. 5,000 ships that had been invisible until this moment. We prepared, Parkte said. We planned. We remembered. And now we are here to collect what you owe us. The Ghost Fleet attacked. Captain Bay Hana, now commanding the carrier Unbroken Soul, led the assault on the Kelos orbital defenses. She had a mechanical arm now, stronger than the one she lost. She had a crew of survivors who had trained for nothing but this day. All fighters launch, she ordered. Primary targets are the defense platforms. Secondary targets are anything that moves. Her fighters poured out like angry wasps. They flew into the Kelos defense grid and tore it apart. Human pilots fought with a fury the aliens had never seen. They did not retreat when hit. They did not surrender when damaged. They kept coming and coming until nothing was left. A Kelos commander contacted her ship. This is madness. You cannot win against the entire Concord. Hannah smiled coldly. We are not trying to win. We are trying to make you pay. There is a difference. Across the galaxy, the pattern repeated. Human ships appeared from nowhere and attacked with perfect precision. They knew exactly where to strike. They knew the weak points of every station. They knew the patrol routes of every fleet. 10 years of spying had given them complete knowledge of their enemy. But it was not just the technology or the tactics that terrified the Concord. It was how the humans fought. Concord species treated war like a business. They calculated costs and benefits. They surrendered when victory seemed impossible. They fought to win, not to die. Humans were different. Human soldiers boarded enemy ships and fought hand to hand even when outnumbered 10 to 1. Human pilots rammed their damaged fighters into enemy bridges. Human crews continued fighting even as their ships burned around them. They did not seem to care about surviving. They only cared about taking enemies with them. Elder Vaughn watched his empire begin to crumble. Report after report brought nothing but disaster. Fleet destroyed. Station captured. Communications cut. In 12 hours, the Concord had lost more than they had lost in the previous 1,000 years. This is impossible, he whispered. They were broken. They were nothing. Admiral Parkte appeared on his screen again. You made a mistake, Elder. You studied our history. You saw that we fought each other. You saw that we were violent and emotional. You thought that made us weak. But you did not understand what you were seeing. The Admiral leaned forward. We fight each other because we care about things. We get angry because we feel deeply. And when someone hurts us badly enough, we do not stop until they have paid in full. You did not just hurt us, Elder. You tried to destroy us. And now you will learn what happens when 8 billion humans want nothing but revenge. 3 Concord species surrendered within the first day. They had joined the attack on Earth only because they feared the Kelos. Now they saw a new power rising, and they wanted to be on the winning side. More importantly, they had seen the evidence. Director Shin Era had planned this carefully. As the attacks began, her agents released recordings across the galaxy. Videos from Varus Prime showing the truth. Humans coming in peace, lowering their shields in trust, then being slaughtered by smiling aliens. Communications between Concord leaders planning the massacre months in advance. Evidence that every justification for the war had been a lie. Ambassador Kira was one of the first to see the full evidence. She sat in her office and watched video after video. Humans dying. Humans burning. children screaming as their ships exploded. And through it all, Elder Vaughn's calm voice giving orders. She had been told her entire life that humans were the aggressors. She had believed it. Everyone had believed it. Now she saw the truth, and it broke something inside her. She requested a meeting with the human commanders. Many Morin called her a traitor. She did not care. When she met Admiral Park Tay, she could not look him in the eyes. "I am sorry," she said. "I did not know. I believed the lies." "Many did," Park Tay replied. His voice was hard, but not cruel. "The question is what you will do now. I want to help. I want to make this right. Nothing will make it right. 2 billion of my people are dead. My world is a graveyard. No apology can fix that. I know, but I can tell the truth. I can testify to what really happened. I can show the galaxy that the Concord lied." Park Tay studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Do it. Not because it will earn forgiveness, but because the truth matters." Kira testified before the galactic community. Her words, combined with the evidence, shattered the Concord's reputation. Species that had feared human revenge now began to see them differently. Not as monsters, but as victims who had finally found the strength to fight back. Elder Vaughn tried to rally his remaining forces. He gathered what was left of the Kellos fleet and prepared for a final battle. He still believed he could win. He still did not understand what he was facing. The final battle took place above the Kellos homeworld. Vaughn had gathered 800 ships. Park Tay brought 1,500. The numbers favored humans, but Vaughn believed his people were better fighters. He was wrong. The battle lasted 6 hours. Human ships moved with perfect coordination, cutting through Kellos formations like scissors through paper. When Kellos ships tried to retreat, human ships followed. When they tried to surrender, humans demanded unconditional terms. No negotiations. No mercy. By the end, Vaughn's flagship was alone, surrounded by human vessels. His weapons were gone. His shields were failing. His crew was dead or dying. Park Tay's face appeared on his screen one last time. 11 years ago, you smiled at me and said goodbye before murdering my people. Now I will say goodbye to you. But I will not smile. I find no joy in this. Only justice. Wait, Vaughn said. His voice was desperate now. We can negotiate. We can make peace. Think of the future. I am thinking of the future, Park Tay replied. A future where no species ever believes they can murder humans without consequences. A future built on the ashes of everyone who made the mistake of underestimating us. He gave the order. Vaughn's ship exploded in silence, disappearing into the stars it had once ruled. The war was not over, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The Concord was broken. Their fleets were destroyed. Their leaders were dead or captured. Their lies were exposed for all to see. Humanity had come back from the edge of extinction to conquer those who had tried to destroy them. But the hardest question was still ahead. They had won their revenge. Now they had to decide what to do with it. 2 years after the reckoning began, the war was over. The Concord had fallen. 9 of the 12 species had surrendered, defected, or collapsed into chaos. The Kellos and Moron leadership were captured and waiting for judgment. The galaxy held its breath, wondering what humans would do next. Admiral Park Tay stood on the balcony of the Concord's former Capitol building. Below him, billions of aliens waited in fear. They had heard stories about human vengeance. They had seen what happened to those who fought back. Now they expected the worst. Director Shin Era joined him on the balcony. She looked tired. 20 years of planning and fighting had taken everything from her. She had given her life to this moment. But now that it had arrived, she felt empty. The council is demanding a decision, she said. Many want extinction. They say the Kellos and Noran should be destroyed completely. No survivors. No mercy. What do you think? Park Tae asked. She was quiet for a long time. I think I have spent so long hating that I forgot how to feel anything else. I think about my brother, my parents, everyone I lost. I want them to pay. I want them to suffer as we suffered. But then I think about what comes after. We destroy them, and then what? We become the monsters they said we were. We prove that they were right to fear us. Park Tae nodded slowly. I have been thinking the same thing. Inside the Great Hall, the leaders of humanity gathered to decide the fate of the galaxy. Captain Bae Hana was there, now an admiral herself. Commander Yoon Jin stood in the corner, silent as always. Representatives from every human colony filled the room. And at the center sat the captured leaders of the Concord, waiting to learn if they would live or die. The debate was long and bitter. Some argued for total destruction. A young soldier stood up with tears in his eyes and described how his entire family had burned in the attack on Seoul. They killed my mother while she was holding my baby sister, he said. They should all die. Every single one. Others argued for mercy. An old scientist reminded them of their history. We have seen genocide before, she said. On our own world, humans killed millions of other humans for being different. We know where that path leads. It leads to more hatred, more war, more death that never ends. Then Captain Hannah stood. The room fell silent. Everyone knew her story. Everyone knew what she had lost and what she had sacrificed. I have every reason to want them dead, she said quietly. I lost my arm. I lost my squadron. I lost friends who were like brothers and sisters to me. When I close my eyes at night, I see their faces. I hear their last words. She paused, gathering herself. My mother survived. She is very old now. Last week, I visited her in Bizen. Do you know what she said to me? She said, Hana, revenge is a meal that never fills you. You can eat and still feel empty. Do not let them turn you into something ugly. You are not a killer. You are a protector. She looked around the room. I killed many aliens in this war. I did it because I had to. Because they would have killed us if we did not fight back. But that is different from killing people who have already surrendered. That is different from murdering children for the crimes of their parents. They murdered our children. Someone shouted. Yes, they did, Hana replied. And it was the worst thing in the history of the galaxy. But if we do the same thing, we do not erase their crime. We just add our own crime next to it. Is that what our families died for? So we could become exactly like the monsters who killed them? The room was silent. Ambassador Tira was allowed to speak. She walked to the center of the room with her head bowed. I cannot ask for forgiveness, she said. What the Concord did is unforgivable. But I can tell you that not everyone agreed with it. There were Morin, who hid human refugees at risk of their own lives. There were Kellos workers who sabotaged the attack on Earth. They were killed for it. Quietly, secretly, but they existed. She looked up at Park Tae. If you destroy us all, you destroy them too. The ones who tried to help. The ones who knew it was wrong. Is that justice? Park Tae stood. The room became completely silent. I have thought about this moment for 11 years, he said. Every day since Virus Prime, I imagined standing here. I imagined making them pay. I imagined watching them suffer as we suffered. That dream kept me alive through the darkest times. He walked to the window and looked out at the alien city below. And now I am here. I have the power to destroy them all. No one could stop me. Many would cheer. I could give the order right now, and by tomorrow, 2 entire species would be gone forever. He turned back to face the room. But I keep thinking about what kind of man I want to be. What kind of people we want to become. We have already proved that we are strong. We have already shown that we cannot be destroyed. But there is another kind of strength. The strength to stop. The strength to choose something better, even when revenge is in your hands. He walked to the center of the room. So here's my decision, and I will defend it until my dying breath. He pointed at the captured Concord leaders. Everyone who ordered the attacks on Varus Prime and Earth will be executed, publicly, so the galaxy knows that actions have consequences. This is not revenge. This is justice. They made the choice to murder billions. They will face the penalty. The captured leaders trembled. Some began to cry. But the Kellos and Morin people will live, Park Tay continued. They will lose their military for 100 years. They will pay for the rebuilding of Earth. They will send representatives to witness our memorial every year, so they never forget what was done in their name. But we will not destroy them. We will not become them. He raised his voice so everyone could hear. This is not weakness. This is not forgiveness. We will never forgive. We will remember what happened until the last human draws their final breath. But we will prove something the Concord never understood. True strength is not just the power to destroy. It is the power to choose not to. The vote was close, but Park Tay's decision won. The galaxy watched in shock as humanity showed mercy to those who had shown them none. 50 years later, Earth had been rebuilt. Not to what it was before, but to something new. Cities rose from the ashes with human and alien workers side by side. Forests grew where radiation had once poisoned the ground. The oceans were blue again. At the center of Seoul stood the Memorial of Remembrance. It was the largest structure on Earth, a tower of black stone reaching toward the sky. Inside, the names of everyone who died were carved into walls that seemed to go on forever. 40,000 from Varus Prime, 2 billion from the burning of Earth. Every name, every person. Never forgotten. Each year, representatives from every species in the galaxy came to the memorial. They walked past the names in silence. They listened to the recordings of what had happened. They left with tears in their eyes and heavy hearts. At the base of the memorial, words were carved in every language known to civilization. Here stood a world that was burned by those who feared its people. Here stood a species that was hunted to the edge of extinction. Here stands proof that humanity endured. We did not break. We did not become the darkness that tried to consume us. We remember. We always will. But we chose to be more than our pain. This is our legacy. This is our warning. This is our promise. Hurt us, and we will survive. Try to destroy us, and we will grow stronger. But if you come to us in peace, we will welcome you. Because in the end, we are human. And humans carry both the capacity for terrible vengeance and the choice to be better. This memorial stands to remind the galaxy of both. Admiral Park Tay died at the age of 92. He spent his final years teaching young people about the war, about the choices they made, about why mercy had been harder than revenge, but more important. His last words, spoken to a room full of human and alien students, became famous throughout the galaxy. They thought destroying our world would end us. They were wrong. We are not our cities, or our ships, or our technology. We are our memory. We are our choices. We are the stories we tell and the promises we keep. They could burn everything we built, but they could never burn what we are. And what we are is human, whatever that means. Whatever that costs, forever. The students sat in silence after he passed. Humans and aliens together, living proof that even the deepest wounds could heal if people chose to let them. Outside, The sun set over a world that had been destroyed and reborn. The stars came out one by one, the same stars that humans had once looked at with fear, then with hope, then with rage. And finally, with something like peace, the galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans did not forgive, but they could choose what to do with their anger, and that choice made all the difference.